Hey, what's up guys? It is your girl, Coach Leanne, down here at AA Fitness in Plainville. So today I am bringing you some information about winter weather and how it's going to affect you. So with it being very cold, as it is these days, typically we're going to find that we're feeling a lot more tightness in our muscles, and we're probably feeling a lot of shoulder and neck pain. So when it gets really cold like this, our muscles tend to tense up because we're so cold. So they're trying to hold everything in as tight as they can to keep the heat in. And especially with our shoulders and our neck, we're spending a lot of time up here because we're trying to keep everything as tight together as possible. So number one thing that we can do for this is obviously to dress very warmly. Toss on an extra scarf if you don't have one to try to get rid of this piece. Now, of course, we have to be very cognizant of this, that we're doing it, and we want to spend as much time down here as possible. So if we are wearing a scarf or something like that to try to keep our neck nice and warm, it'll be a little bit easier for us to get ourselves in that position and stay there. We know that it's not always going to work like that. We're not always thinking about it because we're thinking it's so damn cold, I just want to get inside as fast as I can, as warmly as I can. So we need to counteract these things. So the first thing we're going to do is spend some time foam rolling, whether with a lacrosse ball or a PVC pipe or a foam roller, whatever it is that we need. So we're going to focus mostly on the traps in our shoulders to try to alleviate some of that, but we're also going to focus on the hamstrings and the glutes because we can find that those get particularly tight when it gets cold out. And we're doing a lot of squatting and hinging and deadlifting and things like that in this room, and we want to make sure that we're prepared. So whether you're doing this, once you get to work, once you get home from work, once you get to the gym before you work out, these are things that we need to focus on. So just to recap for you, what the best ways for you to foam roll are. If we're looking at the hamstrings, we're probably going to want a foam roll or a PVC pipe because we need to make sure that, our butt's up off the ground. So we just want to make sure we're back and forth on that hamstring. We're twisting the foot in and out so we get it, and we can always stack one leg on top of the other. So when we're foam rolling, we don't need to go super fast back and forth. We need to kind of move relatively slowly. We find one spot that really hurts. We hold on to it. We sit there for probably 20 to 30 seconds. We move on. We find the next really tight spot, and we sit there for probably 20 to 30 seconds, and we can shift into it a little bit more. We can really push on it, and then continue on that way, rather than going really fast back and forth, because we're not trying to activate the muscles anymore than they already are. We're trying to loosen them up. When we're going after the glutes, what we really want is to have a lacrosse ball or a softball, something very small, so we can dig into all those little corners in our glutes, and especially considering how thick our glutes are and how big they are, we need something to really get into those muscle groups. So if I'm sitting on my right butt cheek, I lift my right leg up, I lift my left hand up, and I put it on my ankle. So I can really sit onto that muscle, and I can really get into that piriformis. And again, I find that spot that hurts the most. I hang out there for 20 to 30 seconds and move on. I find the next piece. I hang out there for 20 to 30 seconds, and I kind of move around, and I find all of the pieces of my glute, all the pieces of my piriformis, and I work them out so that they're nice and relaxed, and make sure that we get both of those sides. When we're done with that, we can go into our stretches. So for our hamstring stretch, we have lots of options. We can always go with just a straight hamstring stretch on the ground, make sure that we're activating our quad, and we're pushing and coming back. So we should feel that good pull here. In order to get after the back of the hips, we can bring it into a pigeon pose, where we kind of cross one leg in, and we can play around, and we just kind of lay on the ground, kick the hips up, and we can go side to side. We find the pieces that hit that the best. We might feel this pretty good in our glutes, and if we don't, maybe a better stretch for us is our figure four stretch, where we cross one ankle over the knee, and we pull in toward our hips. So we really should feel that in that piriformis, and a little bit in the IT band too, when we pull ourselves in. So we really want to make sure that these muscles don't start getting too tight with the cold, because we don't want them to start overcompensating for other muscles. So especially when we're talking about the piriformis, we don't want it to start overcompensating for our glutes, because that can lead to injury. We want to make sure that the glutes are turned on. So make sure that we're hitting those pieces before we start any workout. And again, pretty much anytime you come in after the cold, let's try to get those stretched out so that it doesn't become an issue later on. When we're talking about the shoulders and the neck being up here all crazy, we're going to want to foam roll those too. So we can do this a number of ways. We can get ourselves on the ground. Now when we're talking about the traps, we're talking about this piece right here at the top of our neck. So we want to spend a decent amount of time right there so I can get myself right on there with a lacrosse ball or a softball, if that's what you have. And we can bring it into a swim, up and down. We can scoop out to the side, find all those different pieces, and I'm just kind of sitting on it. And I can move around a little bit, oh, there we go, that was the pop. Find the spot that hurts, and then chill on it for a second. Now, if we're a little bit more comfortable doing this against the wall, we have that option as well. So maybe I'm better off up here, make sure hair, hoods, all that stuff is out of the way. Dig it in. And I put as much pressure on there as I can. And of course, when I'm in this position, I can always twist my head away so that I put even more pull on that muscle. And again, I find that spot that really hurts, I push on it, hold 20, 30 seconds, and then I move on to the next piece. Once we've done our foam rolling piece, we can come into our stretch. So, we're at work and we just ran inside from the cold and it was really, we're all up here and we're really tight. Okay, so we're gonna stretch out the left side. I'm gonna sit on my left hand. I'm probably in a chair and not on the ground. We're gonna go after the scalenes first. So I can just get my fingertip nice and light behind my ear. I'm looking forward and I just tilt my head to the side. So I feel that good stretch right here. I probably wanna hold it for 30 seconds or thereabouts, maybe a little bit more if you're feeling really tight. Then we're gonna go after the levator scapula, which is in the back of the neck. So what we're gonna do first, tilt the head away to about 45 degrees or so, and we're grabbing right on kind of the top of the head, behind the neck, and we're pulling the head down toward that opposite knee. And then we come back up and again, hold 20, 30 seconds, somewhere in there, a little bit longer if you need it. Then we do the same thing on the other side. We sit on that hand, we're looking forward, we get that good scalene stretch for as long as we need it. Then we rotate the head about 45 degrees. We grab behind the head, we tilt down toward that opposite hip. We should feel a pull right on the back of the leg without too much difficulty. So go ahead and try those out. Do the best that you can to stay warm this very cold winter so that we avoid injury once we're in the gym. If you have any questions, you can ask any one of our coaches, and we'll see you guys.